Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the channel. Some really great stuff for you guys tonight. But I want to just go ahead and say what is up to everyone in the live chat and the live feed. Today's podcast or live stream is going to be pretty exciting. It's something that I've been researching and really looking into and kind of compiling all the evidence over the past, say, month or so. And I've been stalling and delaying this video because I wanted to make sure of a bunch of things before I did the video. So I just want to say what's up to Miles, my Mopar 2, Jeffrey, Ando, and everybody else in the chat and anybody else who joins after this. I'll definitely give you a shout out once I start going through this information. So this is going to be a very, very awesome car. If you guys caught the title, you know it's the Dodge Viper. Or Viper. They've changed that so many times. But it's going to be very exciting. I'm going to go over all these specs with you guys right now. And, I've made some cliff notes to make it a little bit easier. But the thing is, we got to get to one very important thing first. And that is the fact that a lot of people are going to say, well, there's not going to be another Viper because they shut the plant down. Well, you're talking about the 2017 Viper being the last Viper because of the fact that they weren't selling any Vipers, apparently. And, the CEO said they weren't going to make them anymore. So that plant shut down, but that doesn't mean the Viper's not coming back out. So basically what I'm saying now is I've been researching this. I got a whole set of cliff notes here from everything I've heard, everything I've read, and everything on the Viper and why it's coming and what they plan on doing and just what the hell is going on with Dodge and this Viper, okay? So remember, the Connor Avenue assembly plant was shut down, okay? So a lot of guys are going to say, well, that's it for the Viper. There's no more Viper. The assembly plant's been shut down. Well, that is incorrect, okay? The reason that it's incorrect is just because the plant is shut down doesn't mean the Viper's not coming back. Now, if you remember the Ford GT, or the GT4, which they just called the GT, was not assembled by Ford at all. It was actually assembled by Multimatic Engineering, okay? Or Motorsports. Multimatic Motorsports is actually who put the Ford GT together. So Ford didn't actually do it. So if you guys really want to know, how is it possible that Dodge could do this if they don't have an assembly plant? Well, that's simple. Ford never even assembled the Ford GT. Multimatic Motorsports did in Markham, Ontario, Canada. That's right. They're the ones who put the Ford GT together. So if we think about it like that, we really don't need Dodge to physically be the ones to put the car together. And they're not going to be the ones doing that. They're going to have the supplier put them together, which means they're going to be more expensive, probably almost double. So it's hard to say price range right now. It'd be nice to have a Viper under 100K as a base, but we're probably looking the same prices as the McLaren 570, possibly same prices as the Corvette C8. That is really hard to say right about now because we're not really there yet. So let's go over what we do know. Dodge needs a Halo car. They ended the Viper, but the reality was they ended it because it wasn't selling, and they needed a better one. They needed time to continue the legacy in a better way. The CEO said there'd be no Viper. We all know manufacturers lie about that all the time. We were never getting a Durango SRT. The 426 was never coming back. There was never going to be a Hellcat powered Ram pickup truck, and now we have all of those. There was also never going to be a mid-engine Corvette, even though GM flirted with it. That was never going to happen. Here it is. So we can't take that as being the end-all, be-all. But back onto the specs here that I've got. Okay, so Car and Driver, Motor Trend, and a lot of other companies have leaked information stating that, hey, they think that the Dodge Viper is going to have such and such, or we know it's going to have this. A lot of information is spewed over the internet in the last year or so. And one of the consensus here is that supposedly Car and Driver said they knew for sure that it was going to be, naturally aspirated V8 because the V10 obviously is gone. Emissions won't stand for it. They can't just have a forced induction supercar or track car, because in order to compete in Le Mans and other stuff like that, there's different categories. In world-class circuit auto racing, you have class and categories for everything. You have naturally aspirated, turbo, supercharged, force induction. You have front wheel, mid-engine, rear wheel. You have all kinds of different classes in the world, but without getting too detailed into any of that, because that's not what this video is about, Dodge needs to be able to create the Viper to have multiple categories. There needs to be a turbo or supercharged V8, a naturally aspirated one, as well as possibly even a 6-cylinder. So where does that leave the V10? Well, it leaves the V10 dead. That's right, it's dead. It's not coming back, which is why they ended production, because not only did they not have the money to keep up with it, there was no need for it anymore because of the emissions and the cost and the low volume of sales, because it wasn't efficient enough of what they wanted it to do. So they just ceased production and closed the plant down. So the Connor Avenue assembly plant was shut down. Like I said earlier in the video, Multimax Motorsports did the Ford GT. So that brings us to, what is the Viper going to be? Well, according to multiple sources, a lot of it's already on the internet, but according to them, as well as people I know, we have heard a lot of rumors about they're potentially producing a 7-liter V8 for the Viper with an aluminum block. Well, that just so happens to be the same displacement as a 426. Now, I also want to cross-reference, if you guys look at Car and Driver, Motor Trend, and a lot of other websites, there's at least half a dozen of them, all saying the exact same thing, that according to their rumors and research and sources, that the aluminum block 7.0 is also going to be shared with the possible potential upcoming Ram. Well, that was last year, or 8-9 months ago. It just so happens to be that the new Ram TRX has the 7-liter 426 Hemi for the TR. They also said it potentially will produce 550 horsepower, and it just so happens the Ram's going to be 530 horsepower. So if you guys are adding the numbers up and putting everything together, we're potentially getting a 426 aluminum block Hemi producing 550 horsepower as the replacement entry-level Viper. Now, you guys might say 550's down, and it's down from 630 from the previous Viper. That is true, but the old Viper was heavier than the new Viper. Supposedly, they're going to be working on an all-new aluminum and carbon fiber chassis, and from what I'm hearing, the new Viper is potentially going to weigh 500 pounds less than the old Viper. Yeah, right? Crazy. Supposedly in the 26 to 2,800 pound range. That means with 550 horsepower, it should easily outrun the old ACR Viper. Now, thinking about that, the 426 Hemi making 550 horsepower, they could probably squeeze 600 out of that engine. So it's not hard to say that they're not going to be able to do it with the 426. But also, another great possibility here is that it says from their sources, and I'm not digging this, from anywhere other than Car and Driver and Motor Trend and places like that, says that their sources say that there's going to be a replacement Hellcat, which will be the upgraded version, just like GM is doing with the twin turbo. Their 5.5 liter flat plane crank producing 600. Dodge is going to have damn near 600 in their 426 Hemi, and it's going to be 800 pounds or so lighter than the C8. Now you say, what are they doing for forced induction? Like I said, Car and Driver, Motor Trend, couple of places who also agree with the people that I'm talking to that we're going to have whatever replaces the Hellcat is going to be the upgraded forced induction version. That's said to be the hellephant. I think that's a little far-fetched to think that we're going to have a hellephant in a Viper that weighs 2,600 pounds, but if Dodge does do that, they could detune it. The reason is because we're already getting 850 horsepower out of a twin-turbo V8 from GM, so the Viper is going to need to make 750 to 800 plus. Even though it's lighter, we're going to need mid-7s, maybe even low 8s. That means it's very possible to see a detuned 426 supercharged or 426 turbo. Dodge has been pumping out the supercharged engine, so it's safe to say a detuned hellephant or an upgraded redeye or demon engine could very well make its way into the Viper, and that's been in the works for a very long time as far as, speculation. I don't see them doing turbo. They very well could, but I don't see that happening. If you want to know what I think, I'm not sure the Hellephant would make its way into the Viper. I'm more inclined to believe we're going to have pretty much a redeye engine just straight plopped into the Viper, as it doesn't need 850 horsepower, is that it's pretty much going to be 7, 8, 900 pounds lighter than the C8, so it really doesn't need 850 horsepower. If they could get a straight 650 or 700 out of it, it'll outrun the Corvette all day, because even though it'll be 150 horsepower short, it's going to be 800 pounds lighter. And that is a lot of weight. A lot. That's the difference between the McLaren and the Hellcat almost. Well, a little bit more. But very similar. You guys get the idea. It's a lot of weight. So going through my cliff notes, basically, if we've learned anything from the previous Viper, we've known SRT is dead serious. They don't like to go after something unless they're on top. And apparently they want to have Hellcat Durango, the Redeye, the Demon. They're coming out with a new CUDA. We got a new wide-body Charger Hellcat coming out. It's going to be called the Angel, possibly. Now we're looking at the Viper coming out. Dodge doesn't want to release anything until they know that they're going to be on top, apparently, and that's what they're doing. And they're going to have a manufacturer put this together. Now, another very, very interesting piece of information here, which I'm not so sure how I feel about it or if it's going to be, fully true. I mean, it very well could. I don't know at this point, but it seems feasible that the new Dodge Viper could come out on the Maserati chassis or the Alfa Romeo 6C. That's very possible, and with that lightweight of a chassis with reinforced carbon fiber and aluminum, it's really not going to be far-fetched to say that the Dodge Viper could weigh 2,700 pounds. Now, just imagine if you take a Hellcat and you take 1,800 pounds out of it. That would put the Hellcat in a territory that would be unbelievable. Just too fast to even imagine. We're talking McLaren 720 performance easily and probably better. Like the McLaren 720 weighs 3,200 pounds or 3,100 and change. So give that car 50 horsepower and take out 300 pounds. That's the Viper. And even with the naturally aspirated 426, it would be like saying, hey, let's take out 100 horsepower, but take out a couple of 100 pounds. So it's really going to be up there with the C8 and the McLaren, and the Viper's never been something to sleep on. So I really feel that GM is going to have their work cut out for them. And I've said 100 times already that I love the new C8. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's one of the nicest muscle cars I've ever seen in my life, and I think it's probably one of the nicest design cars ever, as I love the Ferrari, and it looks like a 458 Italia at certain angles. So I'm a very big fan of the C8, very big fan. And if the Viper doesn't come out, I, at some point or another, may eventually get one or really want to drive one because, like I said, it is a dream come true car, but I think they're in a little bit of trouble if the Viper pans out to be anywhere near these specs. I feel that all cars are going to be in danger because the Viper already did good before. I can only imagine what they're doing now with a reinforced lighter chassis and more power. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. And the good news for the Viper, two more pieces of information that you guys are going to love. Number one, the Viper is going to be coming out first in a convertible. That's right. Supposedly from the sources, not just my people, but all over the web, everyone said the same thing. The Viper is going to be coming out in a convertible first and a coupe in the year after. So we're going to have a convertible. And not only that, there will be a manual transmission in the Viper. It stays true to the heritage, whereas the C8 will not have a manual. So if you guys really want a supercar and you want a manual, it's going to be the Viper. That's pretty much a given. As from what I'm reading and from what I'm being told, it's pretty much guaranteed that if all these specs are what they say they are and it comes out the way it should, we are getting a 6-speed as well as an automatic. So there'll be two options there for you as far as drivability. I'm pretty shocked about all this information that I put together and that I've heard. It really is looking very promising. Just expect that the Viper is not going to get put together by Dodge. It's going to get put together by a third party, just like the Ford GT. I really hope that they don't, have the price up there, because if we're going to look, like I said, if we're looking at the Multimatic Motorsports and how they put the Ford GT together, I really would not want to see a $400,000 Viper. And I really wouldn't want to see a limit invite only. That would be absolutely stupid. I wouldn't want to see that at all. What we need is a 426 aluminum block Hemi producing 550 horsepower in the Viper, lightweight, 2,900 pounds, manual transmission, convertible, needs to base under 100K or at 100K. I mean, hell, if they really want to stretch it, 110 is not that bad. But if the Viper is going to come out in the $190,000 to $250,000 range, it's going to put it out of the realm of almost everyone. No one's going to be able to afford to buy it. It would make 0 sense. So if Dodge is really going to do this big, the Viper needs to start around 100 and go to about 140. And they need to undercut the GM sales. So if they can price the Viper 10% less than the C8, they will clinch the market, and that's how they will basically outsell GM, and everybody will want the Viper over the C8 Corvette. That's all, to be as it hasn't happened yet, but that's basically the gist of You're just joining, and you guys want the cliff notes. The new Viper is going to be all aluminum and carbon fiber. It's going to reduce the weight by a couple hundred pounds from the previous model. It's going to be up to 800 pounds lighter than the C8 Corvette. They've teased it everywhere. 7.0 liter. It's going to share the same engine as the Ram trucks that are upcoming. That was 6 months ago. That just so happens to be a 426 aluminum block Hemi producing 550 horsepower, which is only 30 more than the Ram Rebel TR is supposed to get, as well as the SRT replacements for the 426, which 550 to 600 is not far off. Also says the Hellcat replacement engine could also get added on as a later trim, which could be a redeye engine or even a hellephant detuned to 800 horsepower. We do not need that much power out of this car because it weighs 800 pounds less than a C7 Z06. It also weighs about 300 pounds less than a McLaren 720. So we really only need 6-ish or 7 to make this car an absolute beast. It's going to have a convertible and a hard top, as well as manual transmission and an automatic. Dodge will not be producing this vehicle or putting it together, so to speak, as neither did Ford put the GT together. I said that many times in this video, but for the Cliff Notes, Multimax Motorsports in Markham, Ontario, Canada put the Ford GT together, and it's going to be the same scenario with the Dodge Viper. It's going to be put together by a third party. Let's just hope it stays around 100K for the base entry price. So those are the Cliff Notes for you guys. It could ride on the Alfa Romeo 6C chassis. And I'm going to put some photos up there for you guys. That is a potential rendering of the back end of the new Viper. Who knows? These are just renderings that I've come up with, but it's going to be a lot of fun to see this car produced. There is also one more piece of information, so I hope no one's upset that I forgot to mention this. If you guys are gamers, if you played Gran Turismo, you know that Dodge teased a Tomahawk, which is a fully hybrid model, an electric, in one of their Gran Turismo games. I think it was Gran Turismo 6. It was an add-on, and this is the rear end from the Tomahawk, which looks like a Viper. So the Tomahawk could be Dodge's way of sneaking it out into the video game realm to see people's reaction, and then, of course, just releasing it as a Viper. As with the Corvette and the Viper, these will be the last two supercars in America, or muscle cars, whatever you want to call them, produced with a gasoline engine, as the Viper will be full electric by 2023, and so will the C8 Corvette, maybe 2024. Not exactly sure on the year, but GM's already said it, and Dodge is pretty much going that way as well. But with an electric assist motor in the Viper, we could see 900 horsepower. As you can see from the back end of this, Dodge has already teased this in a game, and it's a prototype model and very well could be the Viper. And like I said, it's called the Tomahawk, and this is the one that's on the screen now. That was basically the thumbnail that I used. Another really cool rendering. These are official images from Dodge from the Tomahawk. So if you're looking at that, that is potentially what the new Viper could look like. Now look very carefully at that image right there of the Tomahawk, and then I go over here and I will pull up this rendering from Car and Driver. You'll see it very well could be similar to this. Pay close attention to these photos as I switch back and forth. You can see that it's very possible that that right there, the Tomahawk, could be, you know, the slippery slope for Dodge to tease out the Viper in a video game and just see people's reaction. So I think it's going to look pretty sick. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video on the Dodge Viper. Shit's about to get real in America, and I really think that between GM and Dodge, it's about to get really real. It's about to get lit. And to me, I'm saying it's pretty damn epic, and I just cannot wait to see what happens here. Thank you so much for everybody that's stopping in here. We have 193 people. If you guys are excited to see a Viper, everybody just thumb up the video right now. I'd love to see the likes just skyrocket over 100 right now, because if they make this car and they make it affordable enough that people could potentially afford it, it's going to destroy supercars. And you know what? I really don't care to see the Viper destroy the Corvette. I'd like to see the Viper and the Corvette destroy foreign cars. That's what I'd like to see. I would love to see GM and Dodge take it to the world. That's what I would love to see. Just like the Ford GT did it, I'd like to see the Viper and the Corvette do even better, because that is what we're all about here in America, is making great cars and fast cars, and I really believe that GM and Dodge can both do this. So thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. What's going on, Josh, Chip, Queen City, everybody in here? I wish I could announce all your guys' names, but I can't. There's so many of you in this chat. I'm going to try. Armando, Queen City, Eric, Bob, Dan, Elf, Chip, LLL, Adolfo Gonzalez, Reckless, Steven, Scott, Hellcat, Josh, Hydra, Frost, Scott, Steingard, Ernest, Dan the Mopar Man, Nelson, Duke's Move. I'm sorry if I didn't say your name. I'm looking through to try to give everybody a shout out. Raven. If you haven't commented, there'll be no way to do that. XO. Let's see if I've missed anybody. Bob Lawrence, Ace1, Michael Cowitz. I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Let's see if I'm missing. Robert C. Jesse, what's going on, buddy? Kennedy, Blue Devil, Alec, Leo, Eric Miller. So many of you guys. Greatest Hits. Let's see. I think I've got everybody. Ross G, Danny Smith, Trenton, Roy. Man, there's so many guys. Overly, Alonzo Ward, Jeffrey, and my Mopars too. If I left you out, I'm really sorry. What is going on, everybody? Don't forget to check out the store, drivewithdemons.com. Get your t-shirts right here, drivewithdemons.com. Hoodies, as well as key tags, Mopar No Car, and hoodies for the winter. Also, check me out on Twitch later on in the evenings. I'm going to be on Twitch. You just go over there, twitch.tv. Check me out, Drive with Demons. I stream all kinds of stuff. We can chat about cars, games, doesn't matter. Also, check out my brother's channel. No spaces, nothing, just all one word. This can't be happening. Let's get him some more subscribers. Very funny content. This can't be happening. All one word. I just want to say, guys, you are the best. Thank you so much for joining me on this video, and I'm hoping you enjoyed the update on the Dodge Viper. It is coming. It's just a matter of when, and if I forgot to mention, I'm sorry, but it looks like the year that it comes out might be 2020. And one more piece of information before you go. 2019. The January Detroit Auto Show, January 19, where the Ford Mustang GT500 is supposedly going to be announced on the 14th, marks the 30th anniversary of the original Viper. So stay tuned for that, because that very well may be when they announce it, but I wouldn't expect to see it in production until the end of 2020, so we're still like a year and a half away from that. But just letting you guys know, this January is officially the 30-year anniversary of the Dodge Viper being announced at the Detroit Auto Show. So let's see what happens next month. Thank you so much, guys, for everybody in here who's watched. But until the next video, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. We'll see you guys. Hellcat Redeye update. I pushed it to tomorrow, as I'll be at the dealership. I'll update you in a live video at the dealership. So we'll have a live video tomorrow on the Redeye. We'll see you guys on the next videos. Thank you so much for stopping in. I love you guys. You're the best. And we'll see you, like I said, tomorrow night on the live video there. Take care, everyone. Share this video, comment, like, once it posts to YouTube after it's no longer live. Definitely want everybody to see this, as it's great news. But we'll catch you on the next live stream. You guys the best. Take care. See you on the next video. Have a great night, everyone.